Final 5 episodes, everybody. And this is your disclaimer. Any audio, video, media clips that you see during the top 26 episodes of Friendship is Magic do not belong to me nor anybody else. They belong to Hasbro, DHX Media, the WWE, anybody that I feel accustomed to use, and there is no copyright infringement intended. Meaning, this isn't for the money. Now, prepare to end this fight. We have, for all intents and purposes, turned 65 episodes into 21. This is it, ladies and gentlemen. The finale. The end all be all. Before I begin, like all the rest of you ponies, the long and hopefully glorious trek that will be season 4 of this series, it's time to put the definitive closing knots on the first 3. These are the 5 episodes, in my opinion, that define the series at its finest. The best moments, the best songs, the best writing, the best continuity, just plain the best. All of the other 21 have led to this. You may debate it, you may argue it, in fact, I invite you to, but there's no question. If you're an overanalyst like me, these 5 are no duds. So without further ado, let's finish this fight. Number 5. Yes, I know. Usually I leave these things in with the annotation claimer that previous parts of this countdown will be seeable on the top left and top right. Nothing has changed here. But this is the final 5. So I'm gonna cut the prerequisite stuff and get straight to the meat and potatoes with number 5. We've had plenty of defining moments in this series for each individual character and for the group as a whole. But no episode better antithesis the overall brilliance and the overall risk-taking of the writing staff and its overall branching impedance to always be continuity crazy than number 5. The season 3 ender. Quite frankly, the episode that has divided the fandom into 2 camps. One that doesn't understand why, and the other that just worships the moment. Magical Mystery Cure. How do you begin an episode so important that it practically changes the show for keeps? You begin it with a song. And before this, no episode before had begun in song. Yes, a friend indeed. It's the closest we've come to it. But this episode begins second one, even before the theme, in song. After the theme, though, it goes straight straight into one of the most weird at first, but heavy-ended plots in the entirety of the series. You see, you see, Twilight wakes up to what seemingly seems like a perfect day until she realizes that Rarity's in control of the weather. Then on top of that, she goes to the other Harmony Five, and they're not doing the jobs they're supposed to. In fact, they're hot swapped. Rarity's doing the weather and feeling the need for speed. Rainbow Dash tries to play Dr. Doolittle but can't. Applejack is, is trying to be Pinkie Pie, which, by the way, writers, there there's something I gotta say. Nobody can be Pinkie Pie. Not Applejack, not any pony else, no pony. So that should have been the fans' first indication that something was up. Pinkie Pie, on the other hand, is working down on the farm, while Fluttershy is making an absolute disaster of the Carousel Boutique. What what then follows is Twilight's task to make everything right again. Again. Two excellently written plot-rich songs later, and yes, a spell delivered by Trollbestia herself. The the meaning for not only the episode but the entire series to this point is unfurled. It's all been a warm-up. All 64 episodes are instantly, in one episode, continuity linked. What results is in one of the most divisive moments that I have ever seen a TV show have among its fandom. Twilight Sparkle's ascension to the mystical alicorn status. An ascension that even as we begin season 4 in a mere 4 days from now, people still aren't exactly agreed with. It's like the Mass Effect 3 ending for animated shows. Either you accept it and like it for its continuity, risk-taking, and door opening possibilities like I do, or you think Hasbro has officially jumped the shark, done something way too fast, and can't wait to see the snowball effect of failure that comes from it. Either way, this right here is everything that is good about this series perfected in one episode. This is how you build tension. This is how you change things up. And the crazy thing is, it's number 5. There's 4 episodes that are better. Number 4. Well, you were kind of patiently waiting so patiently, waiting to see the top of this list, and believe me, the top 5 was the easiest part of this list to come up with. Because number 4 happens to be another season 3er. It's Pinkie Pie's best episode. Why? Because it is without question the definitive thing of what YouTuber Josh Corner says. It's Pinkie Pie. Don't question it. Too Many Pinkie Pies is a classic cartoon trope of a character wanting to be in more than one place at the same time to hang out with all the bros or brodettes. So she follows a mare's tail from her grandmother and find finds a lake that allows her to create a clone of herself. What results is one result you might expect. After one clone realizes that she can't do it alone, she makes other clones, and the domino rally of Pinkie Pie overload begins. Not only does our genuine Pinkie Pie start to question whether she is the real one, but the clone Pinkies in search of fun end up nearly destroying the town. And how does Pinkie Pie find the solution to this problem? By saying that the real Pinkie Pie would do the most unfun thing in the world. What what does what does my beloved Twilight come up with? Why, the John Laurinaitis method, of course. And by the way, just to put some prefacing on it, John Laurinaitis, the former general manager of one of the former creative heads of the WWE, and one of the most boring on-mic personalities ever. That's who John Laurinaitis and there was always something I said about John Laurinaitis during his tenure as the general manager of Raw. I'd rather watch paint dry than listen to John Laurinaitis speak. And that's exactly what Twilight decides for the Pinkies to do. To literally watch paint dry. Never has the most boring task in the history of human creation been used so brilliantly. From generation 1 in human references to just Pinkies being completely out of place, this allowed the animators to go completely nutso as finally the real Pinky Shady stood up as the last Pinky standing. Old school cartoon trope, when written right, can often lead to perfection. I have said throughout the course of this list that too much Pinkie Pie drives me insane. Trust me, this episode did, but it was too good to pass up. That's why it's number 4. Number 3. Ah, boy, oh boy, oh boy. If there's one thing that I have learned throughout the entirety of this list, it's just how boss Season 2 is. I mean, it's got the most episodes on the list. Period. Sure, this episode may not be a great song, or have continuity, but its written plot can not only appeal to a kids show in terms of friendship, it can appeal to adulthood as well, especially in this entertainment, social media, learn everything every 5 seconds lifestyle we live in. Ponyville Confidential. And I didn't realize how much I liked this episode till after the fact. The CMC are done with their daredevil stunts for the moment in hopes of getting their cutie marks. They decide to take a safer route by doing what I did back when I was in high school and joined the journalism department. Unfortunately, the editor-in-chief of the Full Free Press just so happens to be their bully du jour, Diamond Tiara. And Diamond Tiara wants to sell some papers. So the CMC decided to come up with the fictional personality of Gabby Gums and become the Ponyville version of TMZ. See, dropping gossip bombs all over Ponyville. At first, what seems like a harmless read and a fun time quickly turns way too personal after some of the more personal things about the Harmony Six's lifestyle comes out. And then once it's found out who Gabby Gums actually is by Rarity, the Harmony Six do what I would have done. Give them the cold shoulder. It is only after they realize that the only reason they're doing it is because they're blackmailed that they finally decide to clean up their act, come clean and drop the paper just and Diamond Tiara, even though there's blackmail involved. Of course, the young photographer Paperweight then becomes the editor-in-chief and a nice give back to the little guy. The lesson the lessons that there are some things about other people's personal life that shouldn't be revealed, and the lesson of being true to your own personality and not to make one up is perfect for not only kids but adults. Now the only sad thing that I hope for is that the real world would figure this out too. It would be so much better. Number 2. Oh man, the top 2. And quite frankly, if you're a brony, you already know the top 2. You probably watched the top 2 more than 20 times. And quite frankly, these are the two episodes that define the series at the absolute finest. The first being the season 2 finale, A Candlelight Wedding. Yes, this is the episode in which we are introduced to the coolest princess of the princesses, not in, not including not including Twilight, Princess Leonore Cadenza, aka Princess Cadence, the ultimate love machine. She's getting married to Twilight's brother, who until this point we didn't even know she had a brother. And best yet, Twilight's a little ticked off about finding out at the very last moment. I would be too if the person that my brother was getting married to happened to be my best friend and babysitter. As the Harmony Six prepare for the royal wedding, however, something is not quite right about Cadence. He's kind of a jerk. But Twilight suspects there's evil afoot. But by the time she's proven right, she's nearly burned every bridge she's ever gotten. What follows in part 2 is unquestionably, to me at least, the best song in the series. This Day Aria. That when you put it up against some of the best songs from animated stuff past, pretty much dwarfs just about everything. You'd have to go to Lion King, Beauty and the Beast, and Aladdin to find things better than this. And we are also introduced to Queen Chrysalis of the Changelings. And these things look evil to the core. The closest thing we'll ever get to a fight scene ensues with some funny gags. With some funny gags and gags, and ultimately the most important scene in the series, in my view, Princess Strolestia finally getting punked in one shot. And I don't care if it's because the changelings have been feeding off of Shiny's love for Cadence. She still got punked. You are the ruler of the kingdom. You do not get punked. Maybe that should be a giant red flag that maybe a new ruler should be, I don't know, created maybe? Combined with the awesome song at the end of Love is in Bloom. Candlelight Wedding really showed the show's propensity for growth over then 52 episodes. So gave a lot of ponies hope for season 3. But without the one at the very top of the list, none of it matters. Candlelight Wedding doesn't happen. Magical Mystery Cure doesn't happen. None of it happens. What do you do to break the monotony of an entire season of one character focus and friendship lessons? You break everything. Which leads me ultimately to the granddaddy. And if you haven't seen it coming, then like Chris Jericho in 2007, I can't help you. Because number one is clearly Lesson Zero. How much do I love Lesson Zero? I've watched the episode 27 times. I've learned Twilight's vocal inflection because of this episode. I've literally mastered every line. I literally know every scene. And I still want to watch it. What? Were you waiting for the one definitive Twilight episode on the list? This episode is not only one of the most brilliantly written episodes of the series, it is one of the most brilliant character probes that I have ever seen written for anything animated on paper. And I dare you, I double dog dare you, find any voice actor or actress, period, anybody. I'm putting it out. I'll bet on YouTube, anybody that can find a better voice actress than Tara Strong for this. This is what happens when you take the ultimate weakness of a character and crank it to 15. What you get is one of the funniest, entertaining, and just downright disturbing at times episodes. But the importance to the future of the rest of the episodes beyond it cannot be understated. And the plot is meta and simple. As I've explained earlier, Twilight has an over-anxious and over-organizational streak. Something that, when it goes out of control, I have glossed Twilighting. You want to see Twilighting at DEF CON 5? Then watch Lesson Zero. It starts easy enough. Twilight's making yet another over-organized checklist for Spike's got cramps. She's been so busy doing everything from picking up cupcakes, eating more quills, among other things, that she forgot the most important thing that she is to do. Send a letter to Celestia this week. What follows is 23 minutes of pure gold. From the natural, humanistic action of thinking of things based on utter failure of being late that any student from any school has ever experienced, or anybody on any pressure of any deadline ever. The Twilight's logical form to solve the problem. Going to her friends and finding out if they have a problem. which, unfortunately for Twilight, they don't. Although rarity's over dramatic, well, Rainbow Dash does a tactical nuke to a barn. Fluttershy nearly scares me with a half Boston crab and a wrestling skill just to get a bear to get a massage. Dodge and Thinky Bye's got no care in the world. What then follows is a psychological descent to madness that could only be perfectly betrayed by Tara Strong, with Spike acting as the voice of levity to snap her out of her crazy bouts. It doesn't take long for the entire Twilight Sparkle's mental mind roller coaster to go careening off into the tracks and hitting civilians. Just her animated look of her going completely mental is the stuff of memes, nightmares, photos, you name it. Twilight ultimately decides to solve the problem herself by creating a problem, one that causes the entire town of Ponyville to be fighting over a doll. And what are our friends doing at a time like this? Ignoring it. That's the problem. It isn't until Princess Celestia actually does the first thing assertive in the entire series that the roller coaster is stopped. What leads what leads is one of the most defining lessons you can learn about hearing other people's problems, even if you don't think they concern you. But this also opens up the season 2 structure of having the other characters share the stage and also share the friendship lessons. Without this episode setting that precedent, none of the episodes post season 1 that are on this list that are isolated moments for each of these characters are possible. Without this episode, seeing Twilight's ascent to Alcorn status doesn't mean nearly as much. Without this episode, quite frankly, I would have not found my favorite pony out of the bunch. And this is the episode that sent me from semi-fan to full-blown super fan. Yep, this is the episode that made me one of you bronies. And that cannot be understated. That's why lesson 0 shouldn't be 0. It should be 1, like Xbox. The best. Period. Until the next video, find peace in your own nirvana. Thanks for watching the whole thing.